What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are here with some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for DraftKings and FanDuel. This time for the single game showdown slate on Thursday Night Football to kick off Week 12. We have the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. In this video, we will discuss the injuries that impact tonight's game, look at low-risk lineup construction tips and core plays, and talk about strategies, tips, and angles to help you win the biggest prizes that FanDuel and DraftKings have to offer, all using our brand new upgraded lineup builder at Occupy Fantasy. Welcome, I'm Brian Jester, co-founder at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner. Let's jump into it. Let's look at the injury report, starting with the visiting Buffalo Bills for tonight. They will still be without their starting tight end, Dalton Kincaid. He missed last week. In his absence, we had Dawson Knox, we had Jackson Halls, and we had Kaleki Latu, who was called up off the practice squad as their tight end 3. All 3 of those guys will play tonight. The most interesting positional group for tonight are the Buffalo Bills wide receivers. Tonight, Curtis Samuel is out. Let's scroll down. Let's see where Curtis Samuel is in the player pool. He is out, as is Mecole Hardman, recently signed. And remember last week, Keon Coleman was benched due to missing a team meeting. And the same source that broke that news last week also broke the news last night that Coleman is expected to be inactive once again tonight. So, very interesting behind the scenes there for the Buffalo Bills. So, if we look at the routes run last week, and we can compare and contrast who was in versus who's out. So last week, Dawson Knox, their starting tight end, without Dalton Kincaid, he ran 31 routes. So Dawson Knox, 31 routes. It was Khalil Shakir, 24 routes. Scroll up, Khalil Shakir. By the way, whoops, that's what he marks. Khalil Shakir, by the way, he missed practice all this week. He had a baby, so congrats to him. New father narrative, but he's going to play tonight for sure. So Khalil Shakir, 24 routes last game. Joshua Palmer ran 17 routes, as did the recently elevated over the hill Gabe Davis. Remember, this is the same Gabe Davis that couldn't find a team to sign him in this offseason. He signed with the Bills, was on their practice squad for a bit. He ran 17 routes last week. Curtis Samuel, who's out, he also ran 17 routes. And then Tyrell Shavers, who scored the touchdown last week, he ran 16 routes. And then it was Latu with 5, Jackson Halls with 4, and Mecole Hardman ran 3 routes. So I think while the Bills have really switched up their receiving room seemingly week to week, I think we can expect pretty tentatively what we saw from them last week, but just swapping out Curtis Samuel for Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was inactive last week, and typically he and Curtis Samuel have played the same role. So with Curtis Samuel out, expect Elijah Moore to step in and play tonight. And remember, Samuel ran 17 routes last week. We could see that for Elijah Moore. And because everyone is rushing to play Tyrell Shavers, and probably rightfully so at 2,400, or even Christian Kirk for the opposing Texans at 2,800, I think we'll see an overlooked Elijah Moore at 1K. So an interesting high-risk option nonetheless. Now going over to Houston, their quarterback, C.J. Stroud, he remains out with that concussion. He is expected to return next week, by the way. Davis Mills will draw the start again for the second week in a row. So Davis Mills starting for the Texans. Their safety, Jalen Petrie, remains out. No changes to our projections since he missed last week as well. And then they get their kicker back, Kaimi Fairbairn, who did not play last week in Week 11, but he did practice, and he's expected to return tonight for Houston. So he will be the kicker. I know 2 kickers in the player pool, but Fairbairn is expected to be the kicker tonight for the Houston Texans. A small injury that actually has an impact, their offensive guard, Ed Ingram. He missed last week, and I talked about this in our Discord in our main slate injury upgrades and downgrades, that with Jeffrey Simmons returning for the Titans defense last week and Ed Ingram missing last week's game for the Houston offense, it was a nice little upgrade for the Titans defense, and we saw the Texans score just 16 points as a result. But Ingram is back tonight, so a little bit of a boost to the Houston offense. By the way, if we look at the routes with Davis Mills over the last couple of games, when Davis Mills has been the starter for the Texans, it's been Nico Collins, 92 routes, and he's seen roughly 1 billion targets during that time frame. I have Nico Collins right here. We have Dalton Schultz, the starting tight end, at 78 routes. And then it's kind of a mixed bag here. Jaden Higgins, their rookie wide receiver. Where we are, Jaden Higgins, there you are. He has run 56 routes. Xavier Hutchinson has run 53. Christian Kirk has run 52. Jalen Noel, 32, and then Kate Stover, just 1 game last week with 7 routes. And lots of targets, obviously, for Nico Collins, but 14 targets in 2 games for Jaden Higgins, 20-plus targets for Dalton Schultz during that span. So they're throwing a lot, and they're throwing to these specific guys. So lots of opportunity for Houston. All right, that'll do it for the injuries and the absences for tonight's game. Now let's bring up our new lineup builder, which, by the way, if you didn't watch the video from yesterday that I did with Jack, you haven't seen our email or you haven't been in our Discord, we have upgraded our lineup builder at Occupy Fantasy. And I won't do this for every single video, but just to showcase it a little bit and to talk about the process for building low risk and high risk DFS lineups for Showdown, we'll use it in this video. So let's go to the new builder at OccupyFantasy.com. And I'm actually going to full screen this so you can fully see it. And remember, we're looking in low risk contests to lock up all the scoring, playing both quarterbacks, both running backs, and you'll see that in our optimal lineup construction checkboxes here in the new builder. I have this on the DraftKings slate now, so let's start with DraftKings low risk contest. Again, 50-50s, double ups, head-to-heads, try to lock up all the scoring. So if we start with the most popular captain on the slate is Josh Allen. If we try to lock up all the scoring and we play James Cook, we play Woody Marks, and we play Davis Mills, that only leaves us with $2,800 left. And if we optimize now in the new builder by clicking build low risk lineup, that only gives us Cade Stover at 1% ownership, Jackson Halls. Oh, whoops. I put in the wrong guy. Let's try this again. Josh Allen, James Cook, Davis Mills, Woody Marks. There we go. Now let's build low risk lineup. Only $1,200 left. That gives us two 1% guys in Latu and Stover. We really don't want any 1% guys in a low risk lineup, let alone two. So I don't think we can comfortably fit the two quarterbacks, two running backs on DraftKings tonight. Let's take these guys out. And we have to make a decision basically between Woody Marks and Davis Mills. Davis Mills has the higher ownership, more likely to hurt us in low risk contests. So let's take Woody Marks out. We'll stick with these three, Allen, Cook, and Mills. And this is the kind of process you can do, especially with the new builder, but you can do it by hand as well, as you've seen on these videos many times before. And now, because we don't want a stars and scrubs approach, we probably want a mid-range option. So whether it's the Bills defense as the favorite team, or Matthew Prater. And we see Matthew Prater, 36% ownership. He'll be pretty popular tonight. That's probably a guy we want to get in. Let's try Matt Prater and see what it looks like. So we'll put Matt Prater into this lineup. That leaves us 5,200 left per player. Let's optimize and build a low-risk lineup. And now we can play. This looks really good. We get a popular Tyrell Shavers at 2,400. Going to get 15-plus routes. We get Christian Kirk, 25-plus routes at 33% ownership. This really looks like the way to go. Now you can go back and you can swap out Davis Mills for Woody Marks. You could try a different mid-range piece, Bills defense instead of Matthew Prater. Both are options. So this looks good for DraftKings tonight. Let's go to FanDuel just to show you what that looks like. And it's the same process here in the builder as it's been when we've done this before. So we're going to put the most popular MVP, the highest ceiling, highest floor MVP. It's Josh Allen. Let's get his backfield mate in James Cook. Now let's try really quickly. Let's try both quarterbacks and both running backs on FanDuel, see if it's any different. Davis Mills, Woody Marks. And now Marks is a little cheaper here, so maybe it's possible. And we see $5,600 total left. So maybe we get something decent here. Let's go to low risk. Let's build a low risk lineup. And we can go with Agumbawale, 0%. We don't want 0 or 1% guys in low risk. And I'm wondering if we could try something else, because this puts in Ty Johnson, Bills running back, and Agumbawale. Something you could do here, a little trick for the builder. Let's take Agumbawale out. Let's take Ty Johnson out. And let's look for Agumbawale. And let's just zero out his projection. We don't want to use Agumbawale. So I'll take his projection to 0. We don't want to use him in a low-risk lineup. Now let's try re-optimizing for low risk. And this looks better. Ty Johnson, Jackson Halls. We get 2 punts. Not the best, but it is possible. And guys that have ownership. So I think this is a decent way if you wanted to play both quarterbacks, both running backs. We could do the same thing where we take out Marks or Mills, and they're roughly the same ownership. Marks is a little cheaper here. Let's try taking out Mills and leaving in Marks just for the sake of this argument for FanDuel. And let's put in the Bills defense, and let's just see. Build low-risk lineup. Now we have Matthew Prater, Ty Johnson. That looks pretty good. We got a bunch of ownership in here. We get a 5-1 Bills stack, which is going to be popular. Really like that approach tonight for low-risk contests. And this is a great way. The builder, if you don't have access, it really makes your process a lot quicker for trying to figure out low-risk lineups in all sports, not just NFL Showdown. All right, let's reset this. Let's get me back to full screen here. There we go. What's up? All right, and let's get a water sip break, and then we will talk about high-risk contests. We'll go with the same strategy. I'll talk a little bit about some angles first, and then we'll just see what the builder is telling us for tonight for high-risk contests, GPPs, leagues, and satellites. All right, we're going to stay hydrated. All right, let's try going back to full screen. All right, we'll stick on FanDuel for now. And just some thoughts here. As I just said, the field, unsurprisingly, is going to build Buffalo heavy tonight, given the Buffalo wide receiver values, as well as the spread in this game. And if we look at who the most popular values will be, you can do this on our model, but you could also do it in the builder as well. Let's look at the flex guys. And again, this is on FanDuel. Let's sort by salary. And let's just look at guys that are below the kickers. So 6,800, 7,000 below. So kickers, defenses. All right. We have Chubb, 12%. No, but we have Joshua Palmer, 30%. He'll be popular. Dawson Knox will be popular. Tyrell Shavers will be popular. Ty Johnson, 15% somewhat. And Jackson Halls. Anybody that's not those guys, we consider low-owned and great pivots and differentiators in high-risk contests. Same goes for DraftKings. Let's go back to DraftKings in the single build mode in the lineup builder. Let's look at just flex players. Let's sort by salary. And let's get guys that are, 5,400 and below. Sure. So Prater, Fairbairn, Bills, Texans. Okay. So we have Palmer also popular here. Knox also popular on DraftKings. Christian Kirk super popular here, 33%. And then Shavers and Halls a little bit, 15% and 10%. So those are the values that are going to be popular. If you're looking for differentiation at the bottom of the player pool, not using those guys is the way to go. All right, so let's stick with DraftKings and let's think about a high-risk lineup. And you look at MVP and look at captain ownership. Unsurprisingly, Josh Allen, James Cook, we have combining for 60% plus projected ownership at the captain spot tonight. And I get it. But when you see the usage that Nico Collins has gotten with Davis Mills and seeing just a 9% captain, I imagine he'll come in a little higher because people will game log watch and they'll click in his name. Either way, half the ownership of Cook, a quarter of the ownership of Josh Allen. That seems like an obvious play to me. He even ranks higher than James Cook if we sort by OF index. We have Nico Collins at number 3. Let's try him. Nico Collins, let's put him in at captain. And again, we have to click in 2 guys per DraftKings community guidelines and per the builder rules. We played Nico Collins at captain. We probably want his quarterback paired with him in Davis Mills. So Davis Mills, where are you? Now you could, if we're playing a small field GPP, less than 500 players, we have some criteria that we want to meet. We could just build small field GPP lineup here. If there's another guy that we like, we could throw him in. Remember I said I liked Elijah Moore? Let's just say, for instance, we want to throw Elijah Moore in and see what this looks like. Put Elijah Moore in, and let's build a small field GPP lineup. And we'll see that as the lineup is built, it meets all the criteria that we're looking for. And now we get in Xavier Hutchinson, Khalil Shakir, James Cook. We have, this might be a little too low owned for this setup. Right, we have a 0% guy, a 9% captain, a 5%. And again, Elijah Moore, we're going to update the ownership here later this afternoon. So maybe he gets a little higher than that. But still, a 10% and a 5% guy with a 9% captain, I'm not sure we need that for small field. So maybe let's take Elijah Moore out and just see what it looks like when we build with Nico and Davis Mills. And we get Higgins, Shavers, Bills, and James Cook. Not bad. Now, normally you wouldn't play a defense versus a captain, but you can with a wide receiver. We've talked about this before. This looks pretty good. We have the one low-owned option in Tyrell Shavers. We have the other differentiation, the defense versus the wide receiver captain. I really like this. And you may be wondering, how does this differ if we were building a large field GPP lineup? I'm playing single entry, 2,000 players. You guys love playing those, even though we've said we don't like you guys playing those. But let's say we're doing that, and let's say we're going Nico Collins. Nico, well, let's put him at captain. All right, Nico at captain. We're going to pair him with his quarterback in Davis Mills, and we build large field. So 1K salary left over, we want that in large field GPPs. So we have, again, Bills defense, Higgins, Palmer, Shakir. No Josh Allen here. That's interesting. And you may think, I really want Josh Allen in my lineup. Let's take this out. Let's get both quarterbacks in then. Because let's say you want Josh Allen. Let's put Josh Allen in. I think that's probably fair. He's going to be 90% plus in most contests. Probably fair you want Josh Allen in your lineup. Davis Mills, what does it look like if we go 2 quarterbacks? Let's build this large field GPP lineup. Yeah, Mills with Higgins, Hutchinson, Allen, Shavers. This is interesting. There's a really good one. Couple low-owned players, leaves 1,200 on the table. Really good work by the builder here. We have no underperforming wide receivers on tonight's slate. So we're looking to probably get different. Anytime we have a really popular captain MVP, let's bring back full screen here. Hello. Anytime we have a popular captain MVP like Josh Allen, we always have to make the decision when we're making a set of lineups. Do we basically go all in on Josh Allen, or do we fade Josh Allen at captain MVP and we go elsewhere? And I think tonight, based on him having such a massive performance last week, 47 fantasy points, if he scores anywhere that's not 47, like his other performances this year, Everything else has been between 15 and 28 fantasy points. That's much more reasonable. I think we fade him at captain and MVP. MVP is a little tougher on FanDuel. I understand. But if you're playing DraftKings and you're making multiple lineups, I think you go 0% Allen at captain, and you play these other guys: Cook, Collins, Shakir, Davis Mills, Woody Marks, maybe even the value captains in kicker defense, or Dalton Schultz, Joshua Palmer, guys like that. I think that's the way to go tonight. FanDuel's a little tougher. Just really quickly, I'm going to go back to the builder. I'll show you really quickly. Let's go back to the full screen. And let's go to FanDuel, single build. And again, this is just one mode. For those of you who haven't seen it before, we have the single build and multi-build. Multi-builds where you can build up to 300 lineups, and you can enter those into mass multi-entry contests. This is just if you want to hand build or optimize a few lineups. You can actually optimize up to 50 hand-built lineups if you want to. But let's say we go Allen MVP, and we're building large field, and we have to get someone else in there. The model likes Shakir. Let's play Shakir at flex, and let's just see what it looks like for large field. It's not bad. 1,400 left over, but the fact it only has a 15% Ty Johnson means we're probably going to be duplicated in large field. Yes, we have some low-owned guys if we're going to pair with Josh Allen, and that's the biggest question we have to answer with popular MVPs. How many low-owned guys can we pair with them that are viable? Let's reset. Let's look at flex. And who is low-owned that we can consider? Let's look at ownership under 20% in the flex. Texans defense: Higgins, Hutchinson, Johnson, Kirk, Chubb, Gabe Davis. It's possible. Noel, with the way the Bills rotate the receivers, with how many guys are getting snaps for Houston, I think it is possible. It's just not the way the pricing shakes out on FanDuel, it's a little better with the half-point PPR scoring as well. So I think if you're playing different sites, it depends. You might want to go all in on Josh Allen on FanDuel while fading him completely at captain. Play him in flex still, but fading him at captain on DraftKings. So lots of things to think about tonight. Let's go back to full screen here. Lots of things to think about for tonight. If you haven't watched yesterday's video, you'll see it pop up here in a second. Watch it after this video to see all the new features in our lineup builder. But it's a really interesting slate tonight. Our daily plug will be up at OccupyFantasy.com later this afternoon with Bismo's rankings and lineup construction tips and his slate notes for the game. And the model is already up and running with projected ownership, and that'll continue to be updated, especially as we get official news on the Bills wide receivers inactives. So for Occupy, I'm Brian. Thank you everyone for listening. Good luck and enjoy tonight's Texans and Bills showdown slate.